Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Vidyaram Saraswati Namastubhyam. Wow, I blanked out. Okay, we move to the next.
Varade Kamaru.
Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Bande Paramanandamadhavam Paramanandamadhavam. Okay, very nice. So let us read the verses that we covered last time, and then we will pick up from there. Okay, so let's read verses 11 to 13. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tanstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram himanushe loke Siddhir bhavati karmaja Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam Gunakarma vibhagashaha Tasya kartaram api mam Vidhya kartaram avyayam. Okay, so where are we now in the Bhagavad Gita? So in chapter 4, what Bhagavan says is that my birth, my janma and my karma are divine. And the person who knows this, the being who knows this, is Vitaragha Bhaya Krodha, the one without fear, the one without anger, the one without attachment. That person gets to know this knowledge. The one who knows that they are not different from me. The one who sees me alone as the goal. That person alone is able to see that my birth is divine and my karma is divine. Now, the question comes is, Bhagavan, how come only some people get this knowledge? That your karma is divine, your birth is divine. So Bhagavan Krishna says in verse 11, the reason is, in whatever way people approach me, I bless them. So if people do come to me for knowledge, then I bless them with knowledge. But if people come to me with desire for the world, for wealth, for social stature and all of that, then I bless them with that. Whatever way people come to me, thus I bless them. And the example we gave here is electricity, right? Electricity is common to all, no likes or dislikes. But we can use that electricity to plug a tea kettle, to plug a computer, to plug a heater. So it's our choice how we seek God. but Bhagavan blesses us in the exact same way. There's no like or dislike. What we seek is what we will get. And the question is, if we can seek God to gain liberation, why are we seeking the world? We have Bhagavan, we have this truth that's able to liberate us, is able to make us realize our true nature. Why are we seeking the world? So the answer given then in number 12 is kshipra. Because when we obtain desires from the world, we get quick results. When we engage with the world, we get quick results. So if we want some sense pleasure with our sight, just open something and watch something, and we will feel pleasure. If we want some pleasure for our ears, just put on something to hear, and we will feel that pleasure. So this engagement in the world, we're able to get pleasure very, very quickly. And that's why people tend to veer towards pursuing the world. Whereas when we pursue the truth, when we pursue this knowledge of truth, it takes a long time. It's not something that happens right away. And so this is why people pursue the world. Then the question was last time that, but Bhagavan, you were the only one who created all of this. Isn't it you who created everybody? Then Bhagavan says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam. Yes, I created the entire world, but it's based on their guna and karma. Chatur Varnya. I created the 4 varnas based on people's guna and karma. So it is not my fault, it's based on this. And of these, even if I appear as the doer, I am actually the non-doer. So this is where we stopped last time. And we examined what these 4 varnas are, right? Brahmanas, or the think tanks, kshatriyas, or the warriors, vaishyas, or the entrepreneurs, the shudras, or the supporters, or the laborers of society. And we saw how this is primarily based on guna. So primarily based on the temperament of mind. And this is such a sophisticated classification. It's not based on anybody's gender, anyone's race, on religion, on culture, on language. It's not based on anything like that. What it's based on is the temperament of the person's mind. Because Bhagavan says, based on this temperament, the best thing to do is engage in that karma or action that matches your temperament. Because if you and I do that, then we find ease in the action. We find ourselves at peace in the action. Not only that, but everyone thrives. And so this classification is based on that guna predominantly, then karma, because like I mentioned, some people may be in a certain karma or field which they cannot get out of, but that doesn't mean that their guna is of that field. And I gave the example of a businessman or businesswoman. They may be in the field of business, but they may be extremely sattvic. So the predominating factor is really the guna, which followed by the karma. And this is again not a Hindu or an Indian classification. This is something that we can see in the whole world. Now, before I go to the next line and talk about that a little bit, there were many questions last week about feeling this kind of dissatisfaction in one's career, in one's field of work. So now, based on the Bhagavad Gita, I just wanted to give you 3 pointers of how satisfaction takes place in life. Huh? Now, satisfaction takes place in life. And when I say, it doesn't only mean in a job or a career, it can mean in a lifestyle. It can mean in the roles that you've chosen. So in life overall, how to find satisfaction in life. From this level, using this verse and verse number 13. So the first point is that we should engage in our swadharma, right? And what is our Swadharma? This concept keeps coming back in the Bhagavad Gita. It was there in chapter 2. Again, it's here in this verse implied. And again, it will come in chapter 18. This is my natural aptitude. This is something that comes so naturally to me. Now, this doesn't have to be a job or a career. Being a mother, being a caretaker can be a Swadharma. Being a seeker can be a Swadharma. Being someone who is very creative can be a Swadharma. So it's not a job per se. It is this kind of field where I find myself so much at ease because it comes so natural to me. So if nourishing comes so natural to me, that can be my Swadharma. If seeking comes so natural to me, that's my Swadharma. If creativity comes so natural, that's it. If inquisitiveness, curiosity comes, that's it. So point number 1 is find what is that natural expression where I feel at ease. And that is known as my Swadharma. Now, tied to the Swadharma is then, once we're able to figure this out, then have a field where we can express this, right? So that Swadharma has to now turn into point number 2, yajna. Yajna means, because what's the point of me knowing my Swadharma but not expressing it? Then I will feel kind of, wow, I don't feel like I'm making full use of my potential. I feel like there's more that I can give, but I'm not giving it. So just knowing my Swadharma, knowing my temperament is not enough, but matching it to yajna. Where can I express this? And not only express it, but express it selflessly for a higher altar. So if I'm expressing it for selfish pursuit, I will not be satisfied. All kinds of agitations will come into my mind. Whereas if we express the Swadharma in a field that's selfless and has a higher purpose is necessary because it'll take our minds to great, great heights where we won't be disturbed anymore by all of these things in the world. So what is my Swadharma and how can I turn that Swadharma and offer it as a yajna? In what way can I offer it as a yajna? And this yajna can be in a job, it can be in my family, it can be in service to society, and it can also be in my own personal study and reflection. So I'll have to find out what field is appropriate for me to express this. Now, does that stop there? No. The third element, so Swadharma, yajna, the third element is called tyag. Tyaga means that, can I express myself fully, letting go of whatever results come? Can I give myself so fully that I lose myself in the action, and therefore whatever comes, let it come, it's okay? Can I do that when I'm raising my family? Can I lose myself in that act and give myself everything and accept whatever happens? Can I do that in my career and accept whatever happens? Can I do that in my seeking and accept? So when we have these 3 elements in our lifestyle, knowing our Swadharma, expressing it in that field of yajna, and then also practicing that tyaga, I, as a sadhaka, will find great fulfillment in life. When these 3 elements are missing, we tend to have this dissatisfaction. We tend to not want to be in that certain position or situation. So this is how we can apply this verse into our lives by examining our own selves and our own potential. Okay? So now that we've uncovered verse 1, we did more last week. This week, we did a practical application of it. Bhagavan Krishna says, Tasya, of that, kartaram api, of that, I am the doer, even if it appears that I'm the doer. Vidhi mam akartaram, know me to be the non-doer. And he says, avyayam, know me to be the non-doer because I am imperishable. I am of that imperishable nature. Now, he's going to tell us in the next verse, what does it mean to be a non-doer? This is a very, very beautiful concept now in Vedanta. And the next couple of verses are going to be all about first what it means to be a non-doer, and then examining karma, and then again coming back to what it means to be a non-doer and a doer of action. So let us read now verse number 14. Namam karmani limpanti.
Namam karmani limpante.
Name karma phale spruha.
Name karma phale spruha.
Iti mam yobhijanati.
Iti mam yobhijanati.
Karma bhirna sabadhyate.
Karma bhirna sabadhyate.
Namam karmani limpanti. Name karma phale spruha. Iti mam yobhijanati. Karma bhirna sabadhyate. So what does this mean? He says, Namam karmani limpanti. Karmani means actions. Namam limpanti. Actions do not taint me. Name karma phale spruha. And that desire for fruits of actions. Spruha means that desire for fruits of actions. Name is not there for me. Iti, this much. Mam yaha abhijanati. Yaha abhijanati, the one who knows very well this about me. Saha karmabihi na badhyate. That person is not bound by karma. So actions do not taint me, nor have I any desire for the fruits of actions. The one who knows me thus is not bound by their actions. So how is Bhagavan now this non-doer? Bhagavan, you are the doer, you're the creator of the world, but how are you the non-doer? So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go back to this beautiful example of the sun and the reflection of the sun. So here, share my screen. Okay. Now we had seen this in chapter 3. Very beautiful verses came there. But again, this concept is coming back and Gurudev gives it here in his commentary. This original sun, let's say, is pure consciousness, right? And this bucket is the gross body, the water is the subtle body, and this reflected sun is what we call Chidabhasa, or what we call the ego, right? So this is the ego. What happens here is that this automatically happens. The sun is there shining. The reflection automatically happens. So automatically, you and I, we have this reflection of consciousness in the mind. Automatically, it's there. Just like when you look in the mirror, automatically a reflection is there. Automatically, here, when the sun is shining, there's a reflection. But what happens here is that we identify with this reflection and we think that this is us, whereas we are actually this pure consciousness or this sun. So when we identify with this, we again limit ourselves. If the water's muddy, we feel muddy. If the water's clean, we feel clean. If the water's shaky, we feel shaky. And so our life goes on and on, identifying with this whole bucket in the water. And even if at some times we feel still and peaceful, that's also bondage, remember, because again, we're attached to that peace and we want to keep that peace, but it will also go. So even that feeling that I am peaceful is also bondage. It's also bondage. So here when Bhagavan says, Namam karmani limpanti, means I am not tainted by any karma because I am this pure consciousness. So Bhagavan is saying that I am this pure consciousness. So that's why I am not tainted by any karma. So when you see this reflected sun with the water in a bucket, this is jiva. If we see Ishvara, Ishvara would be the reflection in a great, great, great big ocean. That would be Ishvara. So he is not affected by any karma because he's a non-doer. He's like that sun, that Surya, that in that Surya, that sun is just there, and just being there, the whole world awakens, the whole world does their duties, everybody's energized just by the sun being there. Everything goes on, the sun doesn't do anything. In its presence, everything happens. So he says, Namam karmani limpanti. Then the second point, Name karma phale spraha. Ishvara also says, Bhagavan says that I don't have any desire for fruits of action. Why? Because Bhagavan is already fulfilled. We act to get results, to feel complete. Every single action that we do, that we think of, that we keep debating upon, is for us to be complete. But Bhagavan says, I am out of fulfillment. I am acting out of fulfillment. I have no such desire, no such craving for any fruits of action. Then he says something so beautiful. The one who knows me, iti mam yo vijanati. The one who knows me, thus, in this way, that person is not bound by karma. So again, what is he saying here? The one who knows me as himself, the one who realizes that that consciousness in Bhagavan, in Ishvara, is that same consciousness in Jiva. The one who knows me as himself, as herself, is not bound by any action. Now, so what does it mean? Not only is Bhagavan the non-doer, but in our essential nature, we are also the non-doer. Not only is Bhagavan fulfilled, but in our essential nature, we are fulfilled. So let's think about this non-doer. What does it really mean to be a non-doer? What does it really mean? The fact is, right, that we saw also in chapter 3, who is performing all of these actions? The eyes are seeing, the ears are hearing, the nose is smelling, the hands are touching, the lips are tasting, the mouth is tasting. All of our sense organs are acting in their fields. The mind is thinking. Everything is acting in their own fields. And that's how Prakriti is. That's how nature is. It will just keep going on, and we will keep acting. These will keep acting in their respective fields. But the flaw that we have is we say, I am seeing. The eyes are seeing, the ears are hearing, but we say, I am seeing, I am hearing, I am thinking. We add that I in there. we add that I in there, and we hold that I so close and so dear to us that we are bound then. I am the one seeing, I am the one hearing, I am the one smelling. What happens is I'm the one seeing. Why did I see this? Why didn't I see this? So the non-doer, understanding that we are non-doer, means that understanding that all of our sense organs and all of our mind, all of this will continue to function. It will continue to function. Even the intellect will continue to function. But we are not that. They will just function as they function. And realizing that is freedom. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says something so beautiful, that we have only one choice. And really the choice is to identify or not identify. When we identify, we become so limited, right? Because the minute I say, I am seeing, then so many questions will come. I'm seeing this, but why am I not seeing that? I can only see this much, but how come I can't see like that person? How come I'm seeing something so big and you're seeing something so small? So again, so many limitations come the minute we put that I in there. Now, a question might come. If we have this attitude, that we are the non-doer, in reality, we are Atman, the non-doer, isn't that such a dangerous thing? Just imagine somebody could be committing all wrong kinds of things and say, so what? I'm the non-doer, right? I can keep doing bad things, immoral things, and say, I am the non-doer. But guess what happens? When someone commits such bad things, such negative things, emotions like guilt come. Guilt, fear, regret, all of these emotions come. And when these emotions come, will that person really have the ability to detach themselves from the emotion? Sometimes the emotions are so overpowering that we can't help but own them up. So if somebody does something terrible, somebody steals a lot, right? They keep stealing and they say, I'm the non-doer. At some point, they're going to feel so much fear, because they keep all their stuff? How if they get caught? At some point, they will feel some sense of sadness. Why am I doing this? What is there in my life? Isn't there anything valuable in my life? At some point, they will feel guilt. And these emotions come to people at different points in their life, but at some point they will come. Now, at that time, those emotions are going to be so overpowering that that person has to identify them. And so that non-doership, it's not an escape, because even if someone does something really bad, those emotions that they'll get from it, they will be forced to identify with it because they'll be so strong. Now, you might ask me, well, what about somebody who finds such joy in doing wrong things, right? There are people who do such evil things and they find such joy in doing it. That also is a bondage, because they're going to, again, that joy that will come, they again will be forced, because it's so overpowering, they'll be forced to identify with that joy. And then what happens? That joy will also go away. So being this non-doer, or realizing this non-doer, is not an escape. It's not an escape mechanism. And it's definitely not a path for people to take on, even if they're doing all kinds of negative things. Only someone whose mind is so incredibly pure can actually detach themselves and say, yes, I am that self, which is the non-doer. And I am the non-experiencer. Because once we are the non-doer, then we're also the one who is a non-experiencer, non-enjoyer. So, namam karmani limpanti, right? So then here, there's a question. how do we then develop responsibility for our own actions if we think we are the non-doer? So now, that is why this karma yoga is so important, because in the realm of karma yoga, what happens? If for most of us, we cannot come to akarta or being the non-doer without karana. It's very difficult. So the pathway of karma yoga teaches us that we offer everything to Bhagavan, offer everything to God, dedicate all actions to God, so that everyone does so carefully and so purely, because we know we're offering it to a higher altar. Frankly speaking, only after developing this bhava, this feeling, for most of us, can we really detach and say, everything is just happening. I am that self, which is a non-doer. It really, really only works after we've come to this stage of karma yoga. Then we can come to this akarta. Because otherwise, what I said, it's going to backlash. It's really going to backlash. We're just going to say, I'm the non-doer, and then all kinds of things will happen, and all kinds of emotions will be there, and we'll be forced to identify with it. Then it's a fake non-doership. It's not really non-doership. So this, and that's why you can see in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4 is after chapter 3, right? Chapter 3 is that whole take on karma yoga. And chapter 4 is really jnana karma sannyasa yoga, right? It's renunciation of action through knowledge. So that's why this is coming after. Then he goes on to say, Name karma phale spraha. So for us also, our real nature, just think about it. Our real nature is already completeness. Every time we finish a class, what do we say? Om Purnamada, right? Means we are already complete. Yet we keep desiring things. So just as the essential nature of Ishvara is completion, fulfillment, our essential nature is completion, fulfillment. In fact, every time we have such a desire, it is an indication of our incompleteness. So anytime a desire rises, just think, why is it rising? Why is such a desire rising? And I'm not talking about these basic bodily maintenance desires, like to eat or to sleep, or to take care of oneself. But I'm speaking about these other desires that keep rising. Why are they rising? They're rising because we feel incomplete. So our real nature is also like that sun that's totally complete. And so upon realizing that our nature is the same as Ishvara's nature, one who is not affected by actions, one who does not have any spraha or craving for the fruits of actions, that person, that being is not bound by karma. So the only way to come out of the karmic cycle is to transcend it. In the cycle of karma, there is no end. First we do, then we enjoy the results, then we do, then we enjoy the results, then we do. There is no end. The only way is to transcend it. That's what he's saying. Now, he wants to bring home this message to Arjuna. So remember who the student here is, it's Arjuna. So he wants to sort of bring this to Arjuna's level and tell Arjuna, now this is how I want you to apply it in your life. So we come to verse number 15. Evam jnatva kritam karma.
Evam jnatva kritam karma.
Purvairapi mumukshubhihi.
Purvairapi mumukshubhihi.
Kuru karmaiva tasmatvam.
Guru karmaiva tasmatvam.
Purvaiः purvataram kritam.
पूर्वैपूर्वतरं कृतं
Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi guru karmaiva tasmat tvam purvair purvataram kritam. So what does he say here? Evam jnatva. Thus having known this, karma kritam purvaihi api mumukshubhihi. Karma kritam. Karma was done purvaihi, by people, the ancient people, and mumukshubhihi, and seekers after freedom. Therefore, tasmat, kuru karma, you please do your karma. Kuru karma eva, even, you do your karma, purvaihi purvataram kritam, just as it has been done by the ancients in the olden times. So having known this, the ancient seekers after freedom also performed action. Therefore, you too perform action as did the ancients in olden times. So now, Sri Krishna just said all of this. Now, what is he trying to tell Arjuna? So very beautifully, I want to read to you something here in the commentary. What Sri Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. He says, now listen, I'm giving you a reference point because sometimes we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go, how to do things. But if we're given a live example or a reference point, then we have a clear vision. So here Sri Krishna uses examples like Janaka. First he says, Arjuna, Tvam na tushnim asana, like don't sit quietly. You have a duty to perform. Don't sit quietly. And very clearly he says, na pi sannyasaha kartavya. Don't take sannyas. Don't sit quietly. Don't take sannyas. He says, you have to look at what people before did. Yadi atmagnyah tvam, he said that if you are a knower of truth, atmagnyah, right? Then what would you do? Then loka sangrahartham janakadihi. Then you would perform actions for the welfare of the world. So think of Arjuna. Arjuna is in this place where he's in the battlefield and he's about to engage in a war. He really wants to disengage, but Sri Krishna is telling him, perform your dharma. So Sri Krishna tells him, if you are the knower of the self, you perform your action for loka sangraha. And he says, anatmagnya, and if you are not the knower of the self, then atma shuddhyartham, then you perform karma for purification. So this also was there in chapter 3. Who should perform karma and how should they perform it? For the ones who are still seeking and are still trying to understand this knowledge, then perform karma for that purification so that the mind can be freed from likes and dislikes, so that the ego can slowly dissolve and one will attain a state of purity. But for the ones who already know this truth, like Janaka, etc., they can also perform karma with the vision that they are the non-doer and everything is happening as it should, and they perform it for the welfare of the world. So he says, don't get confused, don't take sannyasa, don't sit quietly, you engage in karma. And so then, Arjuna says, why don't you just tell me what to do? Shri Krishna, why are you giving me all of these verses and all of these things? Why don't you just tell me directly what to do and I will do it? Shri Krishna says, I can't do that because Vaishamyam Karmani means there are so many things in this realm of karma. So now very beautifully, Lord Krishna is going to take us to this realm of karma, how vast it can really be. So let us see this verse now, verse number 16. Kim karma kimakarmeti
Kim karma kimakarmeti
kavayopyatra mohitaha
kavayopyatra mohitaha
tatte karma pravakshyami
tatte karma pravachyami
yajñatva mokshase shubhat.
yajñatva mokshase shubhat
Kim karma kimakarmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajñatva mokshase shubha. So Arjuna says, if karma yoga is to be performed, you just tell me, why are you bringing all these ancient people telling me to do karma like them? And so Sri Krishna says, this is why. Let me explain to you. Kim karma, what is action? Kim akarma, what is inaction? So these two words will keep coming in the next few verses. Kim karma, what is action? Kim akarma, what is inaction? Iti kavayaha api atra mohitaha. Kavi, the seers of the rishis, the great rishis, atra, in this regard, api, even they, mohitaha, are deluded. Tatte, that karma pravakshyami, that karma I shall tell you for you. Yajñatva, once knowing it, mokshase ashubhat, you shall be liberated from this samsara. What is action? What is inaction? As to this, even the wise are deluded. Therefore, I shall teach you action, the nature of action and inaction, knowing which you shall be liberated from evil of samsara, the wheel of birth and death. Okay, so now this is Lord Krishna's intro. Now, what is action? What is inaction? And he's going to come up with one more forbidden action. So he will classify each one, and then we will look at them from different standpoints, because the meanings of these words will change depending on the standpoint we perceive them. Okay, so let's look at verse number 17. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam
karmano hyabhibodhavyam
bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha
bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha
akarmanascha bodhavyam
akarmanascha bodhavyam
gahana karmano gatihi
gahana karmano gatihi
karmano hyapi bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. So what does he say here? Karmanaha hi api bodhavyam. So that of right actions, bodhavyam should be known. Bodhavyam, this should also be known. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Vikarmanaha means forbidden action. Akarmanaha cha bodhavyam. And of inaction should also be known. Gahana, imponderable. Karmanaha gatihi. Gatihi, the path of action is gahana. It's imponderable. We can't understand it. For verily, the true nature of right action should be known, as of forbidden action or unlawful action, and of inaction. Imponderable is the nature of the path of action. Okay, so let's see first these three words. Now this verse 17 is coming from the standpoint of Dharma Shastra. Okay, so what is action? What is inaction? What is forbidden action based on Dharma Shastra? So first, let us see a very, very basic definition. Karma is movement. Basic definition. When we see movement, when things move, that's called karma or action. A karma or an action is something that's steady, not moving. So first level, karma means moving, movement. Akarma, when I say akarma, inaction, it means being stable or steady. Now we go to a second level. When we go deeper into the Shastra, karma means kartavya karma. Karma means kartavya karma, means the karma that I have in my particular stage of life, in my particular inclination of life. What are my roles and responsibilities in this field of life? That is called kartavya karma. Again, you can bring back the varna and ashrama, and then that makes it very, very clear. Like, this is my varna, this is my ashrama, this is my karma right now. A karma in this context then means not fulfilling my duties. So what karma means, that which is my duty, which is my dharma. Akarma means when I do not fulfill that. And vikarma means when I do something opposite to that or prohibited by the scriptures. So let us say a child, right? Let us say a child, they have a certain karma. That the child's karma is to go to school, to be a great student. Now, if they do not do that, if they skip school or whatever, then it's a karma. They're not fulfilling their obligations, right? And then if they do something totally opposite to learning, to studying at that age, if they do something totally opposite, if they start harming people or to do something very drastic, that is vikarma. Vikarma is forbidden action. Then let's say we take an adult, right? Somebody who is grahastha. What is the kartavya karma? What is the dharma for a married couple? Their dharma is to serve society. Part of grahastha is to serve society. Akarma means not serving society, or not having even that sense, because that service to society is part of a family, part of marriage duties. Vikarma is doing completely something opposite, doing something completely prohibited to that. So this is called karma, akarma, and vikarma. And now this karma, akarma, vikarma, sometimes it can get very, very, a little bit confusing for someone. Sometimes, generally we do know what we're supposed to do, but sometimes it can get confusing because point number one is we have so many shastras, right? We have so many shastras. We have Upanishads, we have Bhagavad Gita, we have Dharma Shastra. Second point is that at different teachings are given to different students. So the teaching that was given to Uddhava is different from the teaching that was given to Arjuna. The teaching that was given to Sri Rama is very different from the teaching that Sri Krishna gives, right? Or the teaching that Sri Rama gives to Lakshmana is different again from what Sri Krishna gives to Arjuna. So the teachings also are different for different people. And then in certain places or times, things also change, right? The times where, maybe we didn't have cars on the road or anything like that. The dharma was everybody should walk to wherever they need to go, right? But now the dharma is different. Now the dharma is you can take public transportation, you can cycle, you can do all of these things. So as times change, also the dharma changes, what we're supposed to do. as we move to different places. Some places we have to drive in the left side of the road. Some places we have to drive on the right side of the road. So as we change places, as we shift times, as we move from different stages in life, the dharma of a grahastha is to engage in society, to be very active, but then the dharma of a vanaprastha is to start withdrawing. So again, for different stages, it's different. Different times, different places, it's different. And so for this reason, he says, it is to be known because gahana, it's imponderable. It's very, very hard to understand. So one who's able to distinguish this will know very, very clearly. Sometimes though, we're at a standstill, we're at a standstill. We're like, right now, I don't know what action I should do. Sometimes this might happen to us. I don't know what action I should do. And so, as I told you in the very beginning of class, keep in mind this Swadhyaya, Yajna, and Tyaga. When I keep these three things in mind, then immediately everything will be clear. And as a general rule, what helps me evolve, what brings me closer to the truth, that is to be taken up. And what takes me away from the truth, that is to be given up. So that's also a very general rule, generic rule, because sometimes this confusion can happen. So now, this is from the standpoint of Dharma Shastra. So what we have seen from Dharma Shastra, that karma, first of all, means movement, akarma, no movement. Then you go a little bit deeper. Karma means doing our kartavya karma, doing what our daily duties are and occasional duties. Akarma means not doing them. Vikarma means doing something completely prohibited. Now he said, now I'm going to come to Adhyatma Shastra, and I'm going to tell you what this karma and akarma is from Adhyatma Shastra. So let us read, and then we will touch upon this very, very beautiful verse. Now, this verse is really important, this one. A lot of people always look at this verse and chant this verse. So let us look at this. Karmanya karmaya pashyet.
Karmanya karmaya pashyed.
Akarmani cha karmayaha.
Akarmani cha karmayaha.
Sabuddhiman manushyeshu.
Sabuddhiman manusyeshu.
Sayuktah kritsna karma krita.
Sayukta krishna karma krita.
Karmanya karmaya pashyet. Karmanya karmaya pashyet. Akarmani cha karmayaha. Sabuddhiman manushyeshu. Sayuktah kritsna karma krita. Karmani. Karmani, in action. Karma. Karmani means in and then space action. Akarma, in action. Yaha pashyet, the one who sees it. Akarmani, in action. Cha, karma, in action, in action. Yaha, the one who sees it. Sabuddhiman, this person is wise. Manushyeshu, among men. Saha yuktaha kritsna karma krita. He is yukta, a yogi, the performer of all actions. The one who recognizes inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men. That person alone is a yogi and a true performer of all actions. Okay. So let's maybe just touch upon this and think about it from the standpoint of Karma Yoga. We will first come from the standpoint of Karma Yoga and then Jnana Yoga. Adhyatma Shastra, there will be two standpoints. the one who sees inaction in all action. What does that mean? From Karma Yoga, as the one of the most beautiful things is this bhava called Karana Bhava. Karana Bhava means we're an instrument. So the one who sees that amidst all action, there is inaction. So amidst all that is going on, amidst all of the daily chores, daily duties, things that are being done every day, there's inaction means I'm not the doer. There is something flowing through me. There is some divine grace that is just making me move, making me flow, making me see, hear, smell, taste. There is that Bhagwan. There is that Bhagwan who's just making me flow. And that is called, amidst all of the action, there is inaction because I'm not the doer. I'm not the doer, but I'm just this instrument. I'm just this vessel, this empty vessel, and it's as though that grace is just pouring through. So that's why in the beginning of class, we chant Mukam Karoti Vachalam, right? So I am actually mute, Bhagwan, but you make me speak. Pangum langhayate giryam. That I actually am lame, I can't walk, but you make me walk. Yat kripatamaham vande. By your grace alone, Paramananda Madhavam. All of this is possible. So that ego dissolves in God. This is from the Karma Yoga standpoint, Karma Yoga Bhakti standpoint, that the ego dissolves in God and Bhagavan just flows. So that's why you hear some of our saints and sages, they say that it's Bhagavan only moving everything. We are doing nothing. Now, again, I said this kind of mind can only come out of spiritual maturity. Not that all these negative, wrong things, it's Bhagavan only flowing. No, this is such a deep, deep state of being. Such a deep state of being. Then the next one he says is akarimani cha karmayaha. In action, there is action. So even if someone is sitting still, someone is sitting completely still, silently, there still could be that action. Again, that notion of doership, that, oh, I'm the doer, I'm the enjoyer. There still could be that notion of that, even in someone who's sitting completely still. The one who knows this knows the entire realm of karma. Now, what this means, I'll go more into it in our next class, because this is there's a whole long commentary in this verse, but we'll discuss in our next class though. We'll complete the karma yoga and then the jnana yoga way to see it, and then we will move on. So I'll say the closing prayer. Before that, next week, we will not have class because it's Diwali. So we will meet the week after that. We'll meet the week after that, and we'll continue this verse. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay. Hari Om, everyone. And if you have any questions, you can stay back and we can go through them. Dina ji,